Greetings! I'm sure you guys are delighted every time touchscreen comes up. So I made another video about it. But this time, we will be reviewing some comments under my old touchscreen video and dismantle them one by one, even if I already did it in the original video. Because if they haven't watched that one, I'm sure they will watch this one. But first, as you may know, there are some nerfs coming for touchscreen players. Personally, I would prefer if touchscreen would give exactly 0 aim PP for the maps, since it is using an aiming playstyle that is not meant to be measured with our PP system. You can either measure touchscreen aim difficulty, or tablet, mouse, trackball, whatever else difficulty. But I get it. It's just a hotfix until Laser comes out and fixes everything, ends world hunger, and stops all wars, and everyone will enjoy game again. I will start with the ones with the most upvotes, because those are the most important ones to talk about, obviously. So many misguided people. Alright, first one. So you are saying that every tool is fair game as long as you can utilize it. If I hadn't dropped out of mechanical engineering and would have designed a robot arm that can perfectly aim high-tie for me, would that be fair game as well? I feel like I'm going to repeat this a lot, but touching 2 points on a screen is so fundamentally different from grabbing your mouse, or your pen, or your whatever, and pointing it to the first circle, then clicking it, then dragging it to the second circle, then clicking it as well. There is no way to measure both of these aiming styles equally. Even mouse and tablet seems to create heated debate whether playing with a mouse is actually harder or not, even though the fundamental execution is the same, so it's a much different issue than touchscreen. Imagine if mouse was a car. Alright? Mouse is a car. You know, the kind that you can find on the streets. And tablet would probably be a race car then. You know, it's optimized for O's. And touchscreen, touchscreen would be probably a fucking plane! Yeah, you cannot make turns with a plane, obviously. I mean, you can, but it's very difficult. It's not like a racing car where you can just make turns with breakneck speed. But how is that even relevant when you can circumvent a goddamn world within a day? Alright, second one. And the old game didn't have a PP system designed for mouse, tablet and similar playstyle. Moving on. Okay, this one is wrong on so many levels. Let's start with the first sentence. The PP system is ruining O's. This statement is not entirely incorrect without context. People, both mappers and players, are prone to chasing after numbers instead of enjoying the intrinsic values of the game. But within context, it is irrelevant to the touchscreen problem. Just because the system we have is imperfect, it doesn't mean fixing it will also fix touchscreen. While it is irrelevant to the argument, let's go further a bit. Big jumps are unbalanced and sliders are worth nothing. Streams are only worth when they are really spaced. The reason why big jumps are unbalanced is because the system is really bad at judging the difficulty of a jump in context of angles. If we manage to create a system that judges every angle and distance perfectly, it will still be broken for touchscreen because there is no extra effort in movement. For touchscreen, the main difficulty that comes from square jumps compared to triangle jumps is the extra note, and not the angle. Sliders are unfortunate since you can create elaborate sliders that would take immense skill to execute properly, but only needs a fraction of that skill to just cheese by dropping the slider end. To fix that, the system needs to know which slider end you have dropped and adjust the given PP accordingly, which means a score with the same accuracy and the same combo might worth different values. Personally, I think it would be pretty good to have a system like that. But creating such system is a difficult thing, especially since we would have to do something about the old scores as well. Why is that every 5 and 6 digit things spaced streams are the biggest problem? There are a lot of problems with streams, believe me. Stream jumps being undervalued. Not on PP Plus though. Intricate stream patterns being undervalued. Lots of easy to aim streams giving way too much accuracy and speed PP. And so on. Simple space streams are just a few animals in the zoo of problems. Double time is unbalanced. Oh, fuck me, this is my favorite. Double time is literally just a faster no mode. If you are saying that high approach rate is unbalanced, then that's a different story. But as long as the system doesn't value readings separately, you cannot do anything about it. And good luck designing a system that can objectively measure visual difficulty. Hidden is unbalanced. That is a perfectly true statement and I have nothing against it. If you do, then please design a system that can objectively measure visual difficulty instead of just slapping some flat percentages and score multipliers onto every map across the board. Thank you in advance. Unbalanced mods is a really amusing one, you see. Yeah, right. The mods are intrinsically unbalanced since we give them flat bonuses, and the change in the map itself is actually irrelevant, right? Oh wait, one of them are actually like that. Its name is Hidden. So leave Double Time and Hard Rock and pretty much anything that is not a visual mod alone. Thank you. Short maps are unbalanced. Length is actually a pretty subjective aspect. Arguably, it is easier to memorize a map like Haitai with touchscreen, but many players actually prefer longer, easier maps in terms of getting high PP scores. It boils down to concentration. Some people are better at concentrating longer amounts of time with less intensity, while others are best at intense concentration for a shorter amount of time. But this is all irrelevant to the touchscreen question, unless you are arguing against touchscreen, in which case I would actually have to disagree, since length is not an aspect that is as fundamentally different for these devices. Good luck waiting for a perfect system. The PP system is like science. We can only get close to the universal truth, but never reach it. As for the rest of the comment, the PP system should be able to measure every kind of map's objective difficulty. But come on, let's say it together, that is irrelevant to the touchscreen question. Yay, we got it! Alright, next one. Oh yeah, I cannot wait to have top players farm popular maps on hard difficulty with 3 mod, and memory players getting away with having less overall skill just because they can memorize hundreds of 4-star maps. What a time it would be to be alive, right? Yeah, that is. Not awarding them any aim PP. Just because you decided PP is irrelevant doesn't mean everyone should abide by that. Nihilism is not an argument. No, because the fundamental way of aiming is not different between mouse and tablet. Tablet is just more suitable due to things like fixed positioning. That would only be a valid argument if the game was on some console with controls that are universal across all devices. Formula 1 cars are not uniform either, yet they work fundamentally the same, even if the cars are not equal in terms of performance. I'm not sure which side this comment is on, but I wanted to speak about Tug 4 a bit. They are not in the PP pool because they should have never been ranked to begin with. Or at least that's the reason they gave us. Until it actively broke the system, it wasn't high on the to-do list. I disagree with unranking them because they should never have been ranked in the first place. By that logic, please remove combats from the PP pool in other modes as well, just like in Tag 4. However, I do think that it was the right decision to unrank them. The PP system isn't ready for it. You might say that no PP system will measure it properly, but yes, that might be true. But we already have crazy ranked maps through Aspire, which will give us a headache in the future if we want to measure slider difficulty properly. Regardless, please remove combats from the PP pool. After Tag 4, it is only reasonable, right? You are trying to argue that the problem is irrelevant because it is not big enough. So when will it be big enough? Which will be the point? Because for most people, having a touchscreen play as the top PP play is exactly that point. This argument is just a fallacy. Also, as far as I know, Freedom Diver wants the nerf as well. People who are harassing him are dumbasses, but again, it is irrelevant to the touchscreen question. Those unpleasant people should be dealt with separately. Why are you commenting if you don't care? It is not an evolution if most of the player base switches to touchscreen. It would be just an entirely different way of playing. PP measures aim difficulty for devices such as tablet and mouse, and maps are mostly mapped with those devices in mind. But anyway, let's just assume that your scenario would happen. Once enough players switch to touchscreen, the PP system would change accordingly, and the change would focus on touchscreen. If we follow that pattern, maps that are extremely hard for touchscreen will be manageable for devices such as tablet and mouse. It would create an endless cycle without ever solving the problem. Irrelevant. It is bypassing one of the core elements of the PP system. Just because it is difficult to play with a touchscreen on most of the maps, that doesn't mean it is not posing a problem by ignoring the way we measure aim difficulty. It might be harder to fly a plane than to drive a car, but you wouldn't put them against each other in a race through Russia, because the plane clears distance in a fundamentally different way. Accuracy is not an issue, since the technology will improve, eliminating the input lag problem. And many touchscreen players could have much better accuracy if they weren't only having the fraction of the playtime most players have around their skill level. Arguing about whether OS is a rhythm game or not is another debate. It is irrelevant to the touchscreen question. Okay, the rest of these are just for funsies, since they are so utterly dumb or irrelevant that they hardly count as an argument. If anybody makes a point in the comments that I have already discussed, please don't engage them in a debate. Just link them the corresponding part of the video, like this. But who am I kidding? We will just see the same kind of asinine comments, just like on the last video. Oh well, let's have a laugh, at least, shall we?